In Vernon County Sheriff's investigator Lieutenant Bierkes's reporting, he states, the tear caused a blood clot that broke loose and traveled to Deputy Tollickson's brain, causing a stroke.
Yeah, that's how we came through the surgery. Said how we came out of surgery, we inspected. Sounded like it was a tear in the carotid. Yeah, and that's what made the blood clot. So his neck went back like that and tore his. But the blood clot didn't make it into his brain, but hopefully have it removed. The doctor said it's still passed out and that he was hoping for it.
Bierkes stated that the blood clot didn't make it into Tollickson's brain. Bierkes deliberately falsified his report to misattribute blame to an accidental collision 2 days prior. To avoid accountability and obfuscate matters further, Bierkes also claims that his statement is fourth-hand hearsay. He claims he was advised by his co-worker, Lieutenant Crummy, who was told by the hospital, who was given a false narrative to report. By who? Tollickson is seen here tonguing the point of impact, his jaw.
Hello, I'm Shane Addiston.
Despite knowing that the tear, incurred at a chiropractic visit for chronic back pain, was the cause of the blood clot. In an article by the La Crosse Tribune, Shane Nottestad promotes a third variation of false narrative.
He got struck in the head, caused a blood clot.
Giving false information for publication is a crime.
And this is Eric Tullickson.
Whoever, with intent that a crime be committed, agrees or combines with another for the purpose of committing that crime, may, if one or more of the parties to the conspiracy does an act to effect its objects, be fined or imprisoned, or both, not to exceed the maximum provided for the completed crime.
My hope today is to assist Deputy Tullickson in getting him, along with the support of the community members, the help that he needs.
Shane Nottestad made his intentions very clear. Nottestad wants the public's support in committing insurance fraud.
Whoever, with intent that a felony be committed, advises another to commit that crime under circumstances that indicate unequivocally that he or she has the intent is guilty, a Class H felony.
The felonies committed, in this case, are too many to cover in this video. Whereas Tollickson is guilty of sub A, Nottestad and Bierkes are both guilty of sub B, as are several more. By now, you must be wondering,
what happened, I'm trying to figure out what happened.
And what did happen?
I wanted to call my family.
What did happen?
Vernon County Sheriff's Deputy William Zirk is shown here recording, with his body camera, himself violating the HIPAA rights of a veteran who is dying of heat stroke. After filling out the arrest report for an arrest that he didn't make, and after imagining crimes that he wasn't on the scene to see, based on sounds like. Just as he was starting to fill out the medical release and make the doctor's decision, he was interrupted by a call from dispatch to call the SO.
Grab my phone. What do I do? I thought I'd do, but I didn't.
To not collect incriminating evidence of misconduct on the off-the-record cell phone call, Deputy Zirk mutes his body camera. The supervising officer was Lieutenant Crummy. For 5 minutes, two people who weren't at the scene inflame each other's make-believe induced rage and discuss how to pervert and misrepresent the facts to exact their revenge. Already hyper-vigilant to perceived attacks due to the civil unrest after the January 6 uprising and the rioting against police brutality, the two decide on a story to use to maliciously prosecute the man who went to his neighbors for help. Zirk checks that his body camera is still muted so as to not capture the story that Crummy and Zirk had just decided to perpetuate in order to satisfy the requirements for a workman's comp claim. Zirk stops in to direct hospital staff to diagnose the heat stroke and ongoing seizure activity as mania. Zirk informs Tollickson on the story that the sheriff's department is to forward. Whisper, 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 whisper. Here's what we're gonna make it sound like. The man in an uncorrected state of hyperthermia has been sitting in handcuffs in the emergency room for 20 minutes already. Instead of applying appropriate triage, the doctor would see Tollickson for his sore jaw first and get up to speed on the salacious gossip. When the man was first brought into the emergency room, another deputy with nothing else to get paid for was there to hang out.
15 to 20. 15, good. Do you want me to stand by at the hospital or are you good? If you want to hang out for a minute, I think we'll be okay, but just to make sure. Copy. 15, I'll be clear from the courthouse and being rolled over to the hospital.
10-4-15.
As the exhausted man is attempting to lie down, he is trying to find a way that the handcuffs doesn't make excruciating and begging for help with his ongoing pain. Meanwhile, Zirk shares his imaginary gossip with Deputy Stuber to enlist his sense of vengeance. Pay special attention to Zirk's projection of his victim mentality and the use of "got" throughout the recordings.
This thing sounds like nice. All I just want to do is get my hands in front of me. I want your help. With my pain. And this is my pain that's...
The situation Zirk is imagining as some sort of attempted attack is a self-absorbed interpretation of a tonic seizure by the man who was on the verge of death. This motion that Zirk is mimicking will be misinterpreted and adopted as the motion of Tollickson's head snapping back. This motion will be mimicked to others and will cause doctors to imagine a stretching of Tollickson's carotid artery, which is guessed to have then caused a tear. The man is shown here in the moments before yet another seizure. Instead of emergency first aid treatment for heat stroke, he is kept frying in the sun, unable to understand why the paramedics have been beating him, as the sun bakes the base of his neck and brainstem. Uncontrollably and without warning, the man's body straightened. As you can see, Tollickson is 3 feet away, but Zirk wants it to sound like something. From Tollickson's body camera, you can see the straight-bodied tonic seizure in the distance. See anything wrong with this? It's not that. And it's not that either.
911, where's your emergency?
Oh,
Okay.
yes.
Okay, what's going on?
Our neighbor, he's having a psychiatric breakdown. He has a history of that. He came here earlier this morning, and he was saying all kinds of weird gobbledygook. Now he just burst through our house, ran through, and he's running around all over the place, tearing the laundry down and everything. He's a nice guy, other words, but he's just collapsed on the front lawn. He's a nice guy, other words, but he's just collapsed on the front lawn.
Did you hear the dispatcher interrupt? She's going to tell the caller, an ambulance is on the way, right?
Knock it off! Got him. Cuff him.
Nope. The volunteer EMT believes that his wife called 911 for an ambulance. Listen, as he tries to calm the man.
Hurry up. On your belly there, Steve. There you go.
No, I need something over my helmet. They're drilling down on me. They're seriously tracking me.
Head down. The man was just unconscious. He went to the neighbors for help. Now, his face has been forcefully smashed into the ground and is being leaned on. The EMT is shocked by how Steve is being treated. In an attempt to persuade the police to be less brutal, he tries to explain that the situation is a medical emergency. The EMT has no idea that the dispatcher talked his wife out of sending an ambulance, and there isn't one coming for the neighbor that he had been attempting to treat for his ongoing heat stroke.
This is freaking me out.
Head down, buddy.
Please.
All right, you all right?
Okay.
Thanks so.
Someone please just knock me out to black. That's all. Just help me in the face.
Might have to get my jaw checked. Yep. I'll get a ambulance here. You want to do it at the hospital?
No, I'm here.
Oh, Steve recognized the aura, or beginning of yet another seizure.
Stop. Got ankle cuffs? You got your ankle cuffs? Okay, go get him. I got him. We got one. This person's gotta stop backwards! Yeah, ambulance here to check out Eric.
Handcuffs and a knee in the neck is not the proper treatment for heat stroke. Shade is a good start. Worse, telling someone stop and kneeling on their neck while they're in handcuffs doesn't do a good job of stopping seizures.
Yeah, that's fine. This ain't gonna work.
No, indeed, Tolixon. Leg shackles will not remediate or soothe his heat stroke in any way whatever. They will not calm him and will do a poor job of reversing his status epilepticus. Adding a third sweaty body to smash Steve into the ground will not stop the ongoing organ damage. It turns the situation into a scene from Deliverance. This is Lafarge. I'm on the scene. The volunteer EMT has responded to the radio dispatch for an ambulance to check out Eric. Steve has been unconscious and has had at least 3 tonic-clonic seizures. The volunteer EMT has had his radio in his hand and waiting for the ambulance call for Steve to respond to it. As Zirk initially walks up, the EMT tells him that Steve is going in an ambulance, and the EMT is riding along with him. It has been decided. An ambulance is coming. Steve and the EMT are to be in it. Before the scene gets any more sadistic, let's back up. Steve is in cuffs, Tolixon's jaw is sore, and an ambulance is on the way before Zirk arrived. Let's watch the seizures from Tolixon's camera.
On your belly there, Steve.
Thank you. No, I need something over my helmet. They're drilling down on me. They're seriously tracking me.
Head down.
This is freaking me out.
Head down, buddy.
Oh, my pants. No. Please.
All right, you all right?
Okay.
I think so.
Someone please just knock me out to black. Ask all answers. Put me in face.
Might have to get my jaw checked.
Yep. I'll get a ambulance here. Or you want to do it at the hospital?
Oh, please.
Stop.
Prostate stimulation is not an effective treatment for heat stroke. Constrain, don't restrain does not sound like smash a suffering person's face into the dirt.
Double back! You gotta let me actually do the thing!
While the man with a knee on his neck is having a grand mal seizure, Jonathan Brown is having an ambulance dispatched for his handicapped buddy. Wait. Prostate stimulation is not effective treatment for heat stroke.
Squeal! Squeal!
Backwards! Crazy!
Check out Eric.
Woo, Steve again recognizes the aura of the impending seizure.
Thank you. God.
Hang in there, boss.
Put my belly. Oh shit.
Oh shit, here comes another seizure.
Oh shit. No! No! No!
Knock it off.
Someone take back all up! That guy's crazy backwards! Fucking... Someone fucking Jesus! It's not here! Seriously!
The EMT walked over to speak to Zirk, who just arrived on the scene. The EMT is telling him that Steve is going in an ambulance for medical help and that the EMT is riding along.
Oh, I got you. Yeah, that's fine.
This is Lafarge. I'm on the scene. This is just temporary.
I like to build the world a home and furnish it with love. Grow apple trees and honey bees and snow white turtle doves.
Knock it off. Got him. Cuff him. Hurry up.
Tolixon got him. Look at Steve's arm. Steve's arm is tense. He is pushing outward. Steve's body is shifted away. Why is the paramedic trying to grab Steve? Steve was running to the ambulance. Steve was trying not to collide with Tollickson. Steve wasn't looking where he was going. When he turned back, it was too late to stop. Why is the paramedic trying to be in his way? You can see here that Steve has shifted to cut to the inside and avoid accidental collision. Steve's outside leg is planted and his inside leg is pointed hard away from Tollickson and the imminent crash. As you can see from the shadow, Tollickson brings his hand up to prevent Steve from escaping his grasp. If Tollickson was blocking, his hand would be open and straight out to buffer against impact. But it's out to the side. Tollickson is corralling Steve straight into him. What is not stated in any reporting is that Steve is very nearsighted. He does not have his contacts in, and he threw his glasses off somewhere at the end of his driveway in his delirious nightmare. At 20 feet, a standard wall chart appears like this for him. To simulate what Steve sees, let's adjust the video. Now, does that black blob look like a police officer, or do they look like paramedics? To Steve, who had just spent 20 minutes running in circles like a chicken with his head cut off, waiting for help to arrive. Tollickson claimed on his use of force worksheet that Steve had a target glance.
How you doing, Steve? We handled it now.
The impact didn't even knock Tollickson's hat off. Did how you doing, Steve sound like police freeze or sheriff's department you're under arrest? Steve couldn't have stopped either way. This kung fu grip technique is an elite choking submission tactic when combined with a simultaneous gut punch.
Hi-ya!
It's a crime.
The state of Wisconsin defines adult at risk as any adult who has a physical or mental condition that substantially impairs his or her ability to care for his or her needs and who has experienced, is currently experiencing, or is at risk of experiencing abuse, neglect, self-neglect, or financial exploitation.
Steve has a physical condition that's causing all manner of neurological dysfunctions and blah blah blah, is currently experiencing, and will be experiencing abuse, neglect, self-neglect, and financial exploitation.
I'm sorry, Steve, but you need some help.
Steve has no idea what is happening. His head is exploding in pain from the swelling of his brain. His ears are ringing and the blood is throbbing in his skull. Steve is in desperate need of emergency medical treatment. Tollickson checked emergency handcuffing on the use of force worksheet. The sun is melting his brain, and he's desperately shielding himself from the baking sun. What is happening? Why are the paramedics twisting his arms into pretzels? Steve went from elation from seeing that paramedics finally arrived to save him from his Havana Syndrome directed energy weapon attack delirium, to absolute horror. What happened while he was unconscious? How long was he out for? Why are his arms stuck behind his back? Why can't he use his hands? Did he hurt someone while his brain was hacked? Is he being possessed by a demon? Is this hell? Or purgatory perhaps? Burning in the fire? Check. Endless torment? Check. Ow.
So tell me a little bit more about the rest of the week.
Yep, and then Tuesday night he called. It was earlier. I can look on my phone, but it was probably 6:30, 7 o'clock. He said he had a busy day.
See the footprints in the lawn?
The morning went good, but he said the afternoon was horrible. He said he got into an altercation with somebody.
He, Tollickson, got into an altercation. Steve wasn't trying to cause any harm. He was trying to get help. You can see the path Steve had worn into the grass.
And then I always ask, because I'm always curious, and I'm like, what happened? And he told me him and another officer went to a house. There was somebody at this homeowner's house. Eric was talking to the homeowner, and there was a gentleman there. Eric said he was mental, and he was gibberish, taking clothes off the clotheslines. He butt-headed the homeowner. Eric said he was talking to the homeowner, and this person came around the corner and just plowed. Eric said he plowed right into him. Eric said, I was in his path, he just plowed into me.
This first-hand account of what Tollickson said had happened is the closest to any statement there is from the arresting officer. Tollickson did not fill out the arrest report. Zirk did. Tollickson admitted that he was the cause of the accident.
And I was like, oh my gosh, are you okay? And he said his back hurt. He put his back out again. And he said his jaw. And I said, well, what happened to your jaw? He didn't know if the person's head or elbow, it happened so fast, but some part of that man's body hit his jaw. And then Eric said they did, after a while, of wrestling him around. Eric said he was wrestling with him, and he eventually got him handcuffed. And then I'm like, well, did you have to take him into the jail? And he said, no, another officer took him into jail. And that's kind of what he told me about that night.
Okay, about what time was that on Tuesday night?
Like I said, I can check my phone. What time he called me? Probably 6:30, 7 o'clock.
Did he talk any more about the incident beyond those phone and text conversations?
Wednesday night, you mean, when I was there?
Yes.
About the incident?
Yes.
Yes, we talked about the guy. I'm always asking questions, but I'm always talking. I asked him, like, where was the guy from? Had he had any other altercations with him in the past? Eric said he has in the past. It had been a while. The last time he talked to this gentleman was on the phone. Eric told me he likes to talk to people on the phone like that because they can't stab him, shoot him. And he got somewhere with that time. But this time, they actually had to go to this person's house, this homeowner, because the guy that did this was, having an episode. So Eric obviously couldn't call him on the phone, he said.
Tollickson has held a grudge for 5 years based on a phone call. The only phone call Steve would have from him would have been in response to a suicide attempt, and Tollickson made himself out to be a victim of that. He is claiming that a phone call was an altercation, and Tollickson is claiming to be scared of being shot or stabbed because someone tried to unexist 5 years ago.
And I asked him if he was scared that night or that day. I said, were you scared when he did that? And Eric said, nope. He goes, I have so much on my belt to protect me. He goes, he was thinking, as long as he doesn't stab me or shoot me.
Stab with a can of Coke. Then shoot with a lint-free towel. Wow, John Wick has nothing on Steve. Several indications of Steve's ongoing seizure activity are in this few seconds before the accident. The involuntary, purposeless clutching and grasping is part of ataxia. Steve has no awareness of anything in his hands. The ataxia is the cause of his heavy stomping gait, his lack of coordination, and partially to blame for his lack of depth perception. He is experiencing vertigo, everything is blurry, and his speech and language areas of his brain are malfunctioning. Once Steve sees the black blobs that he expects are paramedics, he tries thanking his neighbor and apologizing for the inconvenience, but all that comes out is,
We handled it now.
whoa, knock it off. In his reporting, Brown would describe these few moments as,
Deputy Tollickson started to ask Steve a question, but before he could finish, Steve crouched down and tackled Deputy Tollickson to the ground.
As you heard, Tollickson asked, how ya doing, Steve? There was no before he could finish interruption. Brown described Steve's falling forward as crouching down, to imply that the accidental collision was an intentional act. Despite only being knocked over onto his hands and knees, Bierkos punched up the tackle idea that Brown invented, and adds an even more imaginary intent.
Steve did a full body tackle and made head-to-head contact with Deputy Tollickson, who was standing stationary.
Steve did something? Did a full body tackle?
Deputy Tollickson received blunt force trauma to the head, caused by a body tackle with a headbutt by Steve.
Tollickson was not stationary. He was actively advancing, and actively keeping himself in Steve's way. The charges Steve has had pending since June 2021 include battery to law enforcement. The criminal complaint states that Steve crouched down and launched himself headfirst and struck Tollickson in the facial area. Launched versus couldn't stop in time, to imply intent. Steve crouched down while running and launched himself while running. And instead of jaw, the complaint is facial area?
Battery to law enforcement officer. Whoever intentionally causes bodily harm to a law enforcement officer under all of the following circumstances is guilty of a Class H felony. There is no consent by the person harmed.
Not only is this Tollickson's consent, it is his intent. Why is Tollickson grabbing Steve? Steve's not initially unconscious after the accident. In this frame of Tollickson's body camera, look at the back of Steve's neck. From Brown's camera, you can see Tollickson's arm pulled back in a fist. The very next frame of Tollickson's body camera footage is this one. There are very obvious shifts in position.
And I think he was going to, he was reaching behind to get his taser, he said, but then they got him handcuffed, and then he didn't have to use his taser.
Okay. All right. How did he seem after the movie on Wednesday night?
He said his jaw hurt.
Okay.
We were on the couch. Yeah, we were on the couch watching TV, and he just seemed uncomfortable. And I said, "Are you okay?" And he just said his jaw hurt again.
Okay. His jaw hurt. Okay.
B. The act is in response to any action taken by a law enforcement officer in an official capacity.
As you heard, the deputy was told about Steve's seizure activity right away. Steve can't control his legs, and running around is a symptom of seizure. Steve is unaware of anyone showing up, not only because his vision is blurry and he's been staring at the ground, but the officers have been directed to sneak up on him by the 911 caller.
You probably might hear him before you.
Oh, well, they shouldn't do that.
Yeah.
No, tell them to be quiet.
Yeah, we could try.
Yeah, please.
Later in the 20-minute 911 call, after responding police were directed to show up without lights and sirens because they might set him off, the dispatcher makes sure that Steve doesn't know help is on the way.
About lights and sirens anymore.
No, yeah. Did he know you called at all?
No, I don't think so.
At the time of the act, the actor knows, or should have known, that the victim is a law enforcement officer.
So, what did Steve do that would lead police to grab him, punch him in the back of the neck, and have him in handcuffs only 1 minute and 17 seconds after arriving at the scene? Was there a warrant for Steve's arrest? No, Steve was dying of heat stroke, and went to the neighbors for help. The people of Vernon County are in danger. Listen.
He just came in and said, "Help, I need help." And so he needs help.
Okay.
We have to help him.
And so Steve is currently on your lawn, though.
Yeah, and my husband is out there with him.
Okay.
And I think Steve trusts my husband. Okay, he's coming in the house now. I don't want him to hear what I'm saying. So he's sending the police and maybe EMS. My husband's an EMT, actually.
Does he need, any medical attention?
No, not medical.
Okay. Turn down.
Wait.
What?
So, never mind the ongoing unseasonal heat wave. Never mind the person who is rumored to be some sort of crazy just collapsing on the lawn. What help does the senile elderly woman think Steve was asking for? Help going to the loony bin. And what help does the dispatcher think Steve is asking for? Help going to jail? Listen as the dispatcher leads the call away from the medical emergency straight to imagining crimes and digging for evidence.
Okay, so he was tearing down your laundry as well?
Yeah, but he was just flailing through the backyard.
Okay.
Yeah.
Steve was running laps of the house in a state of panic. He was staring at the ground and accidentally got tangled in a sheet. One sheet. What is the dispatcher trying to imagine? That Steve is trying to steal granny panties to sniff, like some sort of pervert? Now, listen as the dispatcher, Betsy Olson, starts leading the elderly caller to play armchair psychiatrist.
Okay. And has this been kind of coming on for a long time, or is it just
I think it just comes and goes on a low-level basis.
While the two are having a trash talk session on their social call, the volunteer EMT is trying to treat Steve for his heat illness.
He just paced back and forth and couldn't verbalize anything. And we have a stock tank full of water in the backyard. My husband just offered to let him go jump in that and cool off.
Yeah, anything to keep him kind of occupied and.
Did he go in?
No, he didn't go in.
Oh,
Now he's up here.
Oh, now he's up here. He didn't go in the water.
So he's going in the water, or no?
Okay, he's coming back in again.
Okay.
Put the phone down.
Yep.
Yeah, you're overheated, Steve. You just want to go in the water? You just want to go in the water and cool down a little bit? It'll feel good. It's real cold. It's fresh spring water.
Throughout the call, the dispatcher can hear the EMT and his wife trying to get their neighbor to drink water and cool off. Meanwhile, the responding officers are looking to take out their media-induced rage on someone.
150, I can meet up with you. I'm a little ways out. Ryan, what's that gentleman's name again down there? I haven't dealt with him in several years.
Steve.
Steve, you said was his first name?
10-4.
Okay. Yeah, he's not a fan of law enforcement.
Steve was going to leverage his 8 years in the Army to get into law enforcement at one point. He has an uncle that is a sheriff deputy, another uncle that is a state patrol officer, a cousin who is a jail guard, and his stepmother is retired after working for 20 years for a sheriff's department.
He's not a fan of law enforcement. He's not a fan of law enforcement.
Tollickson broadcasting his victim mentality and his speculation over the radio induces a personal vendetta in anyone listening.
He's not a fan of law enforcement. 20, I'll angle that way as well.
10-4, 20.
William Zirk is what is known as a wandering cop, after a complaint was filed against his brutality in Soldiers Grove, Wisconsin. Instead of being held accountable and being added to the Brady list, he was shown the back door to simply drive up the road to continue his misconduct in Vernon County, where there is zero police accountability. He was also caught abusing his position and cheating the system before, and he wasn't held accountable in that instance either. In Zirk's Blue Line gang, 2 officers aren't enough to beat a man dying of heat stroke. What Vernon County doesn't want the public to know is that the sheriff's department's hiring standards are so low. They are deputizing people with cerebral palsy and spastic diplegia. The department entrusted a taser in this spastic hand and a gun in this spastic hand. Now that it's understood that Tollickson grabbed Steve with both hands because he was wholly unfit for the duties of law enforcement, and appreciate the state of mind of the responding officers, who are angry and feeling attacked before they even arrive, watch as they brutalize Steve without any regard to his suffering or his life at all whatever.
Yeah, ambulance here to check out Eric. Thank you. God. Hang in there, boss. Put my belly. Oh shit! No! 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 Knock it off. Someone take back all up! That comes crazy baggage! Fucking someone fucking crazy! It's not here! Seriously!
Steve's gonna go with you. Okay? It's just temporary. To get okay again.
Go on.
Oh, I got you. Yeah, that's fine.
You wanted help, Steve.
This is LaFar Jade. I'm on the scene.
This is just temporary.
I can
You're
go.
gonna get help.
I was trying, man. You gonna put them on?
Okay, you're going with me, right? Going with.
I'll be there for you, buddy.
All right, so
Steve.
Chick's belly here.
calmer you are, the better.
Yep.
You need an ambulance?
Why is Tollickson asking? The EMT that is standing right there has already determined that he is going, along with Steve in the ambulance. The EMT's wife even assured Steve that the EMT will be riding along. Steve's neighbors were trying to get him medical help. After Steve was whisked away, Brown stayed behind to try to gather evidence to invent crimes.
He's usually a very polite person. In fact, when he came this morning, he's trying to get my attention from the front yard. He didn't want to scare anybody, but he just burst through the front door and went running through the back door.
And kept circling around and around.
He just kept circling.
You heard the crap he was
talking. But the first thing he said to me was, "I need help.
Okay.
Somebody get me help."
So we took care of that.
When he was like that, well, he was at a lower level of that this morning, and I talked about, well, should we call for help for him? He needs help. I mean, see, he keeps walking through, and I was on the phone with Betsy here, and every time he'd come through, I'd put the phone down and pretend to be washing the dishes. And a couple times he knocked into me, and I think the next time he thought I was a little afraid, so he just kind of got next to me and said, "White."
He wasn't malicious. He was just really suffering. We tried to get him to jump in the swimming pool back there because he was really sweaty and hot.
He's very industrious.
Oh God, yes.
And the fact that on a 97-degree day he could ride his bike all the way to Viroqua in the middle of the day.
Steve is a homesteader and a market gardener. He works hard outdoors and had succumbed to the heat wave, dropped his phone in water after getting shaky, and rode his bike 40 miles in the record heat to get a new phone. His heat exhaustion worsened to exertional heat stroke after the bike ride.
I was more worried that he was going to hurt himself.
Yeah, that's weird.
Because he was going to keel over pretty soon.
I thought he was going to pass out.
If something had to be done, he would have died. If something had to be done, he would have died. If something had to be done, he would have died.
Steve was unconscious, having seizures, and is entirely unresponsive. He is being denied emergency medical treatment. Before going any further, here are the crimes you're about to watch being committed.
Obstructing emergency or rescue personnel. Any person who intentionally interferes with any emergency medical personnel in the performance of duties relating to an emergency or rescue, and who has reasonable grounds to believe that the interference may endanger another's safety, is guilty of a Class I felony.
Tollickson is asking if Steve needs an ambulance. The EMT has repeatedly told the officers that Steve is suffering a medical emergency. He has reasonable grounds to suspect Steve's life is in danger, as does Zirk, and so does Brown.
Law enforcement officer. Failure to render aid. Pause to read sub 1. Law enforcement officer. Failure to render aid. Pause to read sub 2. Battery. Substantial battery. Aggravated battery. Abuse of individuals at risk. Harassment. Misconduct in public office.
Okay, let's back up a bit and go again.
Steve.
Chick's Bill here.
Oh my God,
Yep. You need an ambulance? You need an ambulance.
All right, set him up.
You need an ambulance. Here, let's help you up, bud.
No, wait. Ask the questions backwards.
Do you need an ambulance? You're under arrest, just so you know.
I know, boss. No, don't.
Just be calm. Do you need an ambulance?
Yeah. Can he get you, or?
No, he's just like a wily fish.
Yeah, I see that.
If we get everybody control, we're all killing ourselves and we win if we walk away now! Whoa! Oh, stop voicing me. You're actually fucking killing me right now.
Then relax.
I'm home for a reason.
Relax.
It works. We're good. We're good.
Do you need an ambulance, Steve?
I'll pick it up.
Do you need an ambulance?
Well, we got one coming.
Honestly, we could take him ourselves. He's going to be better secured in the squad than he would be in the ambulance.
So
Some squad's
breathing
going.
good.
really has been running.
You want to drink
I'm not
water?
sure he's interested, but we can try.
No, please,
You want to drink of water?
Put me on the spot.
I mean, it's your call, Tully. I'm just saying we could put him in the back of a car and get my jaw checked.
Gotta get my jaw checked. As
Soon as you, I thought he got somebody.
Yeah, as soon as you guys.
I can take him in my car
Where's my
too.
wife now? What's the point?
Yeah.
All right.
Why don't you?
Oh,
I'll get him.
oh no, seriously, but these cuffs are really hurting me.
They're just fine.
I love you guys. We're all winning right now. Does someone realize the craziest thing?
That's here. We'll just.
Tell him, Tollickson. Tell him. Tell the EMT how you are going to lie to Vernon Memorial Hospital's emergency room staff. Tell him how you are going to invent a hyperbolic false narrative to retroactively justify your feelings-based false arrest. While Steve is curled up in the fetal position, helpless, Zirk was squeezing the leg shackles cuff into Steve's leg to sadistically torture him. 10 days later, when this photo was taken, the gouges in Steve's leg are still visible. Take a moment to consider what this feels like. What is Zirk trying to do besides inflict pain? What is Steve going to do? He's handcuffed and shackled. It's not like Steve is going to get up and run away. It's sick and gratuitous. When they sit Steve up, because of the complex focal seizures migrating throughout the various areas of his brain due to the swelling and extreme electrolyte imbalances, he can't remember from one moment to the next. Watch as his head wobbles around dizzy, while he tries to figure out what he is tangled up in.
You're under arrest, just so you know.
Exactly.
Nya neener neener, so angry. Steve's under arrest. For what? Being grabbed by a handicapped deputy, not being able to stop in time, dying of heat stroke? Because of Steve's post-ictal state of seizure, he is aphasic. The things people are saying to him are jumbled.
You want a drink of water?
Put me on the spot. No, wait. Ask the questions backwards.
Steve is trying to explain that he can't understand what people are saying. So, when Tollickson is asking,
Do you need an ambulance?
what Steve is hearing is,
Voodoo Frida, brand new dance.
or,
Scooby Tea and 10 poop pants.
or,
Doo-doo pee and maxi pads.
what is the proper response to an angry guy who was just smashing your face into the ground, yelling in your ear?
Chew fruit trees and scram you cats.
Yes? Steve is experiencing extreme pain. All the cells in his body are slowly dying, a condition called rhabdomyolysis. He feels like he is on fire. He improvised a lotus position and was attempting to meditate the pain away. Steve's true Zen Buddhist, non-violent nature is on full display.
I'd like to build the world a home and furnish it with love. Grow apple trees and honey bees and snow white turtle doves.
Ow, ow.
He's going to be better secured in the squad than he would be in the ring.
Yeah. He's not a violent guy normally.
And I'm not afraid for us right now. He has no weapons or anything.
He wasn't malicious.
We're good. We're good.
I said, were you scared when you did that? And Eric said, nope.
If nobody is scared, then why should Steve, who is in handcuffs and leg shackles already, who went to the neighbors for help, need to be better secured? He doesn't. Zirk is putting on a show for the camera. He thinks that saying,
honestly,
makes his criminal action sound like it's plausible. This isn't a negligence situation. You are watching deliberate indifference. You are seeing gross incompetence. Look at what the handcuffs are doing to Steve's wrists. Steve is being smashed into the ground and his arm is trapped underneath. Brown is shoving Steve's other arm backwards beyond its range of motion, and Tollickson is bouncing on it with his body weight.
You got me.
I can take him in my car
Where's my
too.
wife now? What's the point?
Steve was begging for mercy because not only was this causing excruciating pain in his shoulder, but with every forceful bounce, his arm acted like a lever which lifted up his hand. The leverage caused the handcuffs to gouge not just into one, but both wrists, since his other arm was trapped under him. How is this necessary? Every bounce on his backwards arm is causing whiteout pain. 10 days later, you can still see the damage. Steve's wrists were burger.
No, seriously, my thumb, these cuffs are really hurting me.
At what point does a person see these officers as psychotic?
I'm fine.
Just as Zirk says honestly to make the situation sound like a plausible decision, Brown feels like saying they're just fine for the camera will change the reality of the torture.
I love you guys.
Yeah, he's not a fan of law enforcement.
Who needs protection from whom? When one's detachment from reality causes themselves or others harm, that's the definition of clinical psychosis.
We're all winning right now. But someone realize the craziest thing.
This here will just...
Look at that death grip. This here. This is a thing, and a unit of revenue. The officers aren't afraid of Steve at all. They are afraid of the imaginary boogeyman. They've made him out to be in their heads during the 20-minute response time. We need to watch again, from Brown's perspective, as all 4 first responders argue over who's more of a victim of Steve's life-threatening medical emergency.
Just be calm. Do you need an ambulance?
Yeah.
Can you get you or?
No, he's just like a wily fish.
Yeah, I'd see that.
This wily fish is getting everybody.
Yeah, I'd see that.
Poor heroes.
Huh, stop poisoning me. You're actually fucking killing me right now.
Then relax.
We're home for a reason.
You're under arrest, just so you know.
We're home for a reason.
Relax.
In serving the community, law enforcement officers shall make every effort to preserve and protect human life and the safety of all persons. Law enforcement officers shall also respect and uphold the dignity of all persons at all times in a non-discriminatory manner.
Yeah, he's not a fan of law enforcement.
When using force, a law enforcement officer is required to act in good faith to achieve a legitimate law enforcement objective. Duty to report non-compliant use of force.
Yeah, right. Next.
Duty to intervene.
That's not happening either. Let's keep it moving.
It works. We're good. We're good.
Do you need an ambulance, Steve?
I'll pick it up.
Do you need an ambulance?
Well, we got one coming.
Honestly, we could
Call him.
take him ourselves. He's going to be better secured in the squad than he would be in the ambulance.
Right.
He's breathing good.
Here again, Zirk is performing for the camera to give the illusion of plausible deniability. Zirk has had extensive first aid training. Anyone with any substantial first aid training knows the abbreviation, ABC. The 3 things to assess in an emergency are airways, breathing, and consciousness. It sounds like he's breathing good for the camera, but Steve's sucking wind, virtually hyperventilating. He's not breathing well at all. His airways are open though. Nobody is asking if Steve can understand what's being said, if he knows what day it is, who the president is, and they should have noticed he was unresponsive after the 7th time he was asked about an ambulance.
He has been running.
You want to drink
I'm not
water?
sure he's interested, but we can try.
No, please,
You want to drink of water?
put me on the spot.
I mean, it's your call, Tully.
No, it is not Tollickson's call, whether or not Steve gets emergency medical treatment or an ambulance. The EMT already made the call.
I'm just saying, we could put him in the back of a car and take my jaw check. My jaw check.
As soon as you,
I thought he got somebody.
Yeah.
as soon as you guys,
Wow, 4 first responders getting paid by taxpayers to blow off the appropriate treatment for heat stroke and dehydration and make themselves victims of accidents. The professionalism you may be trying to afford the first responders of Vernon County?
I can take him in my car
where's my
too.
wife now? What's the
Bring your car
point?
up or?
Yeah.
All right.
Why don't you
Oh,
I'll get them.
oh no, seriously, but these cuffs are really hurting me.
They're just fine.
Hey, if you guys, we're all winning right now. Does someone realize
Yeah.
the craziest thing?
Just here, we'll just,
21,
It's okay.
No, I'm sure my thumb's really hurting.
your thumbs are fine, dude.
We'll sit here with you, Steve.
Don't pluck me out. Ants marching is the point. Run it. Please stop. You're freezing my hand. Can I?
Your hand is free.
Steve's hands are in handcuffs, not free. Again, simply denying what is happening for the camera means that the tingling sensation caused by circulation in Steve's hands being cut off by the constant weight on the pressure point of Steve's arm just didn't happen because police said so out loud. Watch Tollekson finally take his weight off Steve's backwards arm and the pressure point.
Please stop. You're freezing my hand. Can I?
Your hand is free.
We all win. Oh, thanks.
Hang in there, boss. We'll get you help here.
Oh, the flash mob's here. $3.99.
All right, how you want to do this?
I want this switch off. Break our bounds.
All right, we're gonna roll you on your butt here.
I'll help.
All right, can you sit up?
I want us all.
All right, bud.
I'm gonna stand up.
Stand up.
1, 2.
All right. Come over here. Have a seat. Put your feet in. Turn around and sit on your butt.
There you go. Put your feet in. All right, man.
Yeah, he's real manic.
Real man.
I'm feeling manic right now.
Yeah.
He's paranoid. I think he's I shouldn't diagnose him. I know he's paranoid.
If something
had to be done, you would have died.
The sheriff's deputies are at Steve's home under the guise of looking for Steve in order to capitalize on the opportunity provided by a 911 call for a man in distress to search for drugs without a warrant. The body camera is worn by Lieutenant Crummy. Watch as Bierkos picks up a pebble. He's got vengeance in mind. Got one. Now, he'll check that he won't be caught. Oops, Crummy, better not record your buddy Scott damaging property. Is Steve hiding in the car? La Crosse Sheriff Investigator Fritz Leinfelder is violating Steve's Fourth Amendment constitutional right against unlawful search. Bierkos has another pebble, and Vernon County taxpayers are paying him to flatten a second tire. Is Steve hiding in the valve stem? Are there drugs in the valve stem? That first pebble must have been too big. Bierkos is getting a smaller one. Take your time, Bierkos. You're getting paid. Steve isn't in the garden. Bierkos is jamming a smaller stone into the valve stem cap before screwing it on to flatten the second tire. Now, Bierkos has the pebble in the cap. Watch as he turns to Crummy to make sure he isn't going to be recorded. Crummy takes the cue and turns away casually to not record the deliberate crime.
Well, I wonder where he's at.
Damage to property. Whoever intentionally causes damage, any physical property of another without the person's consent, is guilty of a Class A misdemeanor.
Since Bierkos is deliberately breaking the law, he is guilty of sub 2.
Misconduct in public office. Any public officer or public employee who does any of the following is guilty of a Class I felony, in the officer's capacity as such officer. Does an act which the officer knows is in excess of the officer's lawful authority, or which the officer knows the officer is forbidden by law to do in the officer's official capacity.
And since Lieutenant Crummy turned away so as to try not to record the crime, instead of acting on his obligation as an officer to stop crimes, he is aiding and abetting the crime, as are the others who stood by and watched. The officers who stood by and did nothing to stop Bierkos are also guilty of sub 1.
Any public officer or public employee who intentionally fails, or refuses to perform a known duty of the officer's office or employment in the manner required by law is guilty of a Class I felony.
After flattening 2 tires, Bierkos is noticing that he has black tire smut on his hands, so he'll grab a towel. Crummy, noticing Bierkos is done, steps back to check out the damage. All the pretending to conduct an exhaustive search for drugs Steve, in the valve stems of his now flattened tires has worked Bierkos into a sweat. Why? Why should a Vernon County Sheriff Lieutenant have a need to turn off his body camera when Lieutenant Bierkos began to speak?
Conspiracy? And obstruction? Or is it obstruction? It's obviously aiding felons.
For this video, try to tune out Steve's ongoing seizure activity and delirious neurological dysfunction while he is being stripped naked in front of a crowd. Instead, listen to Lieutenant Bierkos brag to his cronies about his criminal misconduct. The raw Bierkos is referring to his deputy Bellachero bragging about tackling Steve and punching him. That is another video. Bierkos is also going to brag to his jail captain buddy, Charles Jacobson. You cannot get a more flagrant demonstration of full awareness of criminal misconduct than checking to make sure the coast is clear. As an aside, Fritz Leinfelder of La Crosse County Sheriff's Department, shown here doing nothing to stop Bierkos, claims to be committed to the protection of citizens and safety for all but is
trespassing.
Back to Bierkos and his pattern of misconduct. 1, 2, 3.
You going with me? And then you come popping off, fucking Fritz back. Like, after this crying out his fucking hands back in his mouth. He's his own fucking self-serving little crap. Alright. No?
Steve, right here though, okay? Have you step out?
I'm not safe with you guys. You just sat there with
Steve,
your backs
I just
to me.
let you out
Can you take me to the hospital?
We're gonna get you to the hospital. We're gonna get you changed though first, so you don't go in all this wet stuff.
Wait, you mean to tell me I died last Thursday? The Smoxteen Sproxticles, your 14th, 12th, 14th, please?
It's a miracle that Steve is alive. His clothes are wet because, while the Vernon County Sheriff's Office was on a fishing expedition at his home, here, to find imaginary drugs to negate the element of intent for the entirely malicious, retaliatory arrest and charges, 2 days prior, Steve had fallen off a High Creek bank, hit his head on a rock, and was knocked unconscious. Here, Steve drowned. The miracle isn't simply that Steve survived drowning. Because of the ongoing complex focal seizures Steve has been experiencing, he is entirely unconscious here. The lights are on, but no one's home. Crazy from the heat, call it what you will. Not a single first responder in Vernon County is recognizing that Steve is dying of heat stroke.
Can you take me to the hospital?
The miracle is that he would not have survived the extreme heat stroke if he had not fallen into the cold, spring-fed creek. Steve was denied treatment twice. 2 days earlier, Steve was taken to the hospital after going to his neighbors for help. Instead of the help he was asking for and desperately needed, a Vernon County Sheriff deputy with cerebral palsy and spastic diplegia, Eric Tollickson, showed up. Of course, it's difficult to recognize the teetering and hobbling of Deputy Tollickson's cerebral palsy because of the fat man waddling of Lafarge's only officer, John Brown, who is wearing the body camera. The man lying in the weeds is dying of an extremely advanced stage of heat stroke. He was taken to Vernon Memorial Hospital 2 days prior and was denied treatment. The officers have no idea how extreme his medical emergency is. Steve had just survived falling into a creek, hitting his head on a rock, being knocked unconscious, and drowning. Steve has been having seizures, and the language areas of his brain are malfunctioning, a condition known as aphasia.
Ready? Sheriff Bump K9, show yourself. I'm gonna release the dog. Jake, come back. Stand up or I'll release the dog.
Steve has no idea police are looking for him. He has been curled up in a fetal position in the shade and waiting to die. He is in a public recreation area, and the police have arrived at the scene without using lights or sirens. Steve has had no indication that police were looking for him. Irritability and combativeness are two classic indications of heat illness. Does that look like an officer? Steve had been laying on the ground with his eyes closed. He has water in his ears. He's experiencing all manner of neurological dysfunction, and his vision is blurry. Steve is nearsighted, does not have his contact lenses in, and has lost his glasses. For all Steve knows, there are some people training their dogs in the public area, or abandoning Sharon's 4 canines in the public land.
Stand up or I'll release the dog.
Stand up, motherfucking mopsy popsicles.
Vernon County Sheriff Deputy Mark Bellacero is going to loose the canine on a dying man who is in an unconscious state of delirium and living out an incredibly painful nightmare. Why are these people talking to Steve?
Stand up. Come over here.
Hey, did you flap popsicles? That's kind of fun.
Stand up or I'll release the dog. Come on, we got contact.
Oh yeah, there's a guy fucking up here waiting on you. I'm seeing popsicles and I've seen popsicles.
Come out or I'm gonna release the canine.
Popsicles. What are you doing over there with these fucking blazing shits on me? Yeah, how about you fucking release them on my fucking get over here. Popsicles. Here,
Here.
Steve is standing up slowly to not interrupt the people training their dogs and see what the yelling is about. When he does, all he sees in front of him is disrespect to the military uniform. Like most veterans, Steve takes offense to stolen valor, and, because of the complex focal seizures he is experiencing, he has no filter. His social conditioning is offline. Steve can't see any police patches from the angle, much less read them.
take that fucking patch off!
I'll get him my fucking self.
Come walk over here.
Come on out.
You got some blinky shit on your fucking melon cloud?
Here.
Take that
my
fucking
dog.
patch off!
I'll get him my fucking self.
Get these leaves.
Let's go,
Come
Slick.
Up here and take these leaves out
Come on.
of my fucking view.
Let's go.
Yeah, let's go.
Come on, it's time to go.
Jump, jump, jump.
It's time to go.
Give me the dog, too.
It's time to go, dude. Let's go. It's time to go.
Hey, you smell
It's
that
time to
up
go.
on the backside there. Oh!
Because of Steve's seizure activity, He just had a moment of synesthesia, a type of hallucination where senses are mixed. As you heard, he took a couple sniffs and was overwhelmed by the green chlorophyll smell around him, and saw a green blob coming up behind the person and tried to warn him. But there are a lot of problems with what is happening here. These people who just came up on Steve talking like they are trying to start a bar fight aren't wearing matching hats or shirts, and they are wearing blue jeans. There is no uniform, and time to go slick does not sound like police, freeze, or sheriff's department. You're under arrest.
Dog too, motherfucking hey, you smell that up on the backside here? Oh!
Did you hear the pop sound of a fist punching Steve's open mouth? Listen again.
Hey, you smell that up on the backside here? Oh! Hey, you smell that up on the backside here? Oh!
The pop from Belisaro's right cross to Steve's mouth is heard from this far away, on Vernon County Sheriff Sergeant Michael Davig's body camera. The time is, 7:14 p.m. The punch is also heard clearly, from even farther away, on the body camera worn by Vernon Sheriff Lieutenant Crummy, who showed up late to the beating. The time of the punch on Crummy's video shows, 7:16 p.m. When Steve's court-appointed defense attorney filed a discovery motion for Deputy Belisaro's body camera footage, he claimed that he received an email from then-District Attorney Timothy Gaskell that stated Vernon County Sheriff's Department said none of the requested material existed. Despite being shown here existing, the evidence was withheld. The squad vehicle footage has been withheld despite it being shown to exist, here and here.
All right. I'll point him right out. All right.
Steve had an NGI evaluation for the disease of heat stroke, and the withheld jail medical reports had to be obtained from the evaluator, since they were withheld by Gaskell, the prosecutor. Even more ridiculous is that Bernardo Cueto of Wislaw assured Steve that he had listened to all the audio files of the case and watched all the videos, and yet filed a discovery motion for a file that he and the state of Wisconsin, as represented by Timothy Gaskell, both already had. Here it is, existing. Steve has no first-hand memory of this interrogation ever taking place, due to the still ongoing seizure activity. The lights are on, but nobody was home. What is he signing in his state of delirium? Despite the Vernon County District Attorney withholding evidence, Steve's defense attorney refused to involve authorities or report what is known as a Brady violation, from Brady v. Maryland. Vernon County Sheriff's Department, if what Bernardo Cueto and Timothy Gaskell claim is true, is guilty of criminal misconduct and trying to cover up their lawlessness.
Hey, you smell that up on the backside here? Oh!
Did you hear it? Listen again.
On the backside here? Oh! On the backside here? Oh!
Where was the pop of Steve getting punched in the face?
Yeah!
You can hear it on Lieutenant Crummy's camera from way off. And up closer, on Sergeant Davig's camera, the punch is heard much louder. But on Belisaro's video, the punch portion was deleted, the audio was shifted, and Vernon County Sheriff's Department was depending on nobody looking close enough to spot the edit, and counting on court officials being unable to zoom in on their default Windows Media Player software. While Steve has his back turned, Officer Lice is just now pulling out his badge. Steve was given zero indication that these people about to beat him are law enforcement. Now, notice the position of the sun and how it casts a shadow. The light is coming from this direction. Watch right here. Did you see the shadow, and did you hear the punch as a little click instead of a pop? It is unreasonable to believe that AI wasn't used to alter Belisaro's videos. Instead of the sun casting a shadow this way, the shadow is cast sideways? Neat. Belacero has 3 hands. Not only is this hand supposed to be up here, the hand up here must be in a different position to cast that shadow. Unless there are 2 suns in the sky, Vernon County Sheriff's Department is editing body camera footage illegally. Belisaro's hand is casting 2 shadows, and there cannot be more damning, irrefutable proof positive of criminal misconduct than this. Worse, Vernon County taxpayers are paying for integrity and expecting police professionalism. What they are getting for their money instead are liars and criminals betraying and abusing the public's trust. fiddling around with editing software to cover up their criminality. Just look at the pixelation from drawing in the shadow. Look at how sharp the shadow is here. The edge is much too crisp to be natural. If this video is edited, how many more body camera videos have been edited by Vernon County Sheriff's Department, and how many lives have been destroyed by falsified evidence to support entirely invented criminal charges? If Belisaro's hand was up here, casting this shadow, then in Sergeant Michael Davig's body camera footage, we should see Belisaro's hand above Steve's arm at some point, right? 7, 15 and 45, okay? Or not.
Hey, you smell.
Of course you didn't see Belisaro's right arm. Vernon County Sheriff's Department edited Sergeant Davig's footage too. To see the evidence of the sloppy editing, watch Belisaro's face flickering from blacked out blurry, then normal, blurry, then normal again. It's blurry, here, and here, and here, and here. But it's not blurry. Where a clone tool was used to delete Belisaro's arm, Steve has a double face, Belacero has a triple collar, and the most telling part, the part that shows cut and paste? Watch Steve's face glitch from the punch. Like a shockwave, or a ghost, moves through Steve's face. He doesn't have muscles that could do that. At regular speed, it's easy to say that it's hard to see the punch, but frame by frame, the edits are clear. The easiest to see indication, if you aren't already convinced that this video is edited, is to watch the top of this weed in the foreground, right here, disappear and reappear. Once you see it, you can't unsee it. That weed is goldenrod, and the single terminal top leaf stands as a karmic middle finger, from Mother Nature to the corruption of Vernon County Sheriff's Department. Side by side, you can see the missing leaf. The indication is that Belisaro's head is being cut and pasted in from previous frames without his right arm up, and the head is pasted over the leaf in this frame. This explains why Belisaro's face blurs. The cloned in portion doesn't match the background, so the edges are smudged so it's less noticeable, see? All around the edges of the insertion, the background that doesn't match is blurred. Here, too. And here. Steve's got a drawn-in Pinocchio nose, no mouth, and Belacero doesn't have a nose, no arm punching Steve's face though, so, good enough. Now watch here, and here. Instead of seeing Belisaro's fist following through from the punch, the frame from immediately before is reinserted. Just like the goldenrod disappearing and reappearing, the tree leaves did the same. But this? The editor was so focused on pasting in Steve's unpunched face and blurring the edges. Well, oops, missed a spot. This is the line where the pasted in portion stops. This isn't the tree branch. This is Belisaro's disembodied right hand after following through the punch. And this vertical line? That is Belisaro's watch band. Let's watch the disappearing goldenrod. Here it isn't, because Belisaro's head is pasted over it. Peekaboo, there it is. Now watch as the aura of Belisaro's magical melon distorts everything around it as he approaches Steve.
Oh! Yeah! Yeah!
Why has Sergeant Davig turned his body camera away? Here is where Belisaro's body camera footage is deleted, after Steve says, "Oh yeah, yeah," after the second yeah.
Oh! Yeah! Yeah!
Belisaro's footage stops at 19:15 and 49, then picks up again after Belacero fidgets with his camera to create an edit point at 19:15 and 57. 8 seconds were deleted.
Alright?
The audio starts up with, "Are you alright?" So, let's try to see what was deleted.
Stay down.
Yes! Yes! Alright?
Stay down.
Yes! Yes! Alright?
Too bad Bierkos and Lice aren't wearing body cameras. This guy, Bierkos, doesn't have a hat on and is wearing blue jeans too. All the uniformed officers wearing body cameras are standing off so as not to record the beating. Maybe Lieutenant Crummy's body camera captured something.
Oh! Yeah! Yeah! Oh! Yes! Yes! Yeah. You guys, right up is right there. Yep.
Give him your arm.
Oh. Yeah. Oh. I've got to shit my pants. Wait.
Quit resisting? They just told Steve to give them his arm, but he can't, because it is trapped underneath him, and 2 fat hillbillies have been kneeling on his guts, which has caused his colon to extrude out of his anus. But, because of Steve's seizure activity, he can't articulate the prolapsed rectum as such. All he can muster is describing the wetness of his voided bowels.
Wait. Click, one more click. Oh, wait a minute, let me catch my breath. Oh. Yeah, they're stinging like fuck, dude. Hey, take my fucking sleeve off. Dude, cause, no, I'm fine.
5, Vernon.
My time.
5, go ahead.
You know, don't push.
We're 1095.
Oh, you can't fucking fucking
10-4-5, 1095.
52 times?
Yeah, better not record the man dying in the weeds either. Good job catching the scary bad man who was on his hands and knees screaming for help.
911, where's your emergency?
Alright, so Monroe County Dispatch. It's going to be near S as in Sam, 2 Valley Road. In on subject on the line advising that there's a male subject acting erratically. Said he's going in and out of the woods. I could hear him yelling in the background a little bit, and he's acting like he's under distress. Or possibly under the influence of 961.
Okay.
Sir, you can go ahead with the description of the male subject.
4, standby.
Sure.
Okay, what's going on?
So there's we're in a fishing party.
Yep.
Yep. Okay, and there's this white male, white male. He's dipping in and out of the woods. We're at a fisherman working on the KVA, and he's going into the woods calling somebody named Nolan.
I'm taking a 911 call possibly on this suspect near the KVR.
Yeah. Did you need more information from me?
Yes. Stay on the line here.
I'll do my best for you.
Other than when they 1040'd our units negative.
Maybe you know this, but they had to make a traffic stop, so if you have anybody in the area, find out what the operator's issue is, if it's 1055 or somebody's in the area.
Yeah, 10-4. I've got 181 and 15 heading there now. In regards to our current 665 case, I'm taking a call on the KVR matching his description.
Oh. Yeah, I can still see him.
You can still see him? Good. All right. They're going to be right near the fire number SAM 25 Road, just down the road from the previous incidents. Male party acting erratically, acting in distress, screaming and yelling, dumping in and out of the woods.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, he seems tough.
Nobody yet. I'm still on the line dispatching it. What was your name, sir?
My name.
You get the idea.
He does. Right up his right there. Yeah.
Give him your arm.
Oh. Yeah. Oh. I'm gonna shit
Quit
my pants.
resisting. No
wait,
shit.
Wait. Click. One more click. Oh, wait.
Bellachero fidgeted with his body camera again. You can never be too sure where he might need an edit point, huh?
Let me catch my breath.
Huh? Oh. You want to go through the weeds? Oh. Oh shit.
Yeah, they're stinging like fuck, dude. Hey, take my fucking sleeve off. See,
leave it on. He's fine.
No, I'm fine.
Sergeant Davig is having a blast. We so much fun.
Yeah.
Here comes another sociopath to participate in the fun of beating a dying man. Dig that hat, and that pink shirt, blue jeans too. He doesn't look like law enforcement to Steve, either. He's not wearing a body camera. Wait for it.
I'll make space.
You have to pay for the entertainment?
Since we couldn't watch the beating, let's listen as Bellachero brags about it to his cronies.
Things like that. And then you turn around and you're like,
Try to get that one off yourself?
things like that. And then you turn around and you're like,
Try to get that one off yourself?
Meanwhile, Steve still hasn't been told that he's under arrest, yet he's getting stripped naked in front of a crowd.
Where you want them that way?
We're gonna go to 4.
So I guess what charges this? Yeah. Yeah. Okay. The investigator here is going to talk with you.
Okay.
Yeah.
We have no positive. He's on something.
I don't want sunny feet. I'm trying to like heal up. Thanks, Scott. You ever ride one of these?
Steve is dying of exertional heat stroke. He has been having seizures, and his ongoing neurological dysfunction is obvious. Vernon County Sheriff's Office has edited the video to conceal how long Steve was screaming in pain before hospital staff came in to turn off the IV pump. Axon body cameras don't fade in.
I'm gonna start fucking ripping these things off. Stop this! Stop this! Stop this! Stop this ride! I'm gonna fucking take you down too.
What's going on?
Keys! Keys!
See the handcuffs stay out.
Find someone that's gonna give me keys.
Does the IV hurt?
No, the handcuffs do, dude.
Okay, I'm gonna start this again.
Look. No! No!
Hey,
Are you?
don't do that.
Get this fucking off of me! Ah!
Keep them on the thing wrapped.
Get these fuckers away from me! They're killing me! God damn it!
I'll take that from
Ah! Please put me back in the river!
Steve is extremely dehydrated. His blood has been condensed down to muck. The EKG shows that his heart is on the verge of failure as it struggles against the blood pressure problems. Steve had been having tonic-clonic seizures and bucking uncontrollably against the sharp edges of his restraints. The tissue damage in Steve's wrist, combined with the handcuff, functioning as a tourniquet, has caused blood to pool in his hands. Because of the seizure activity in Steve's brain, he is in a state of delirium. His speech and language areas of his brain are malfunctioning, a condition known as aphasia. Steve tried desperately to articulate that his circulation is cut off. Get this tourniquet this fucking off of me.
And then he just started, get this fucking off of me!
Let's keep this in, okay?
Keep it on, Steve.
The doctor is focused on treating Steve's medical emergency. Keep it in. But Bellacero wants Steve to suffer.
Ah!
Here, I'm gonna go grab something.
Yeah, all right,
Make sure he
got
doesn't rip that out.
Why can't somebody...
Why Vernon County Sheriff's Deputy Mark Bellacero artificially created an edit point on his camera by fidgeting with it. And what the first part of the video should show is Steve screaming in pain until hospital staff came in the room. Steve held both hands up, pleading to the nurse who just came in to stop the pain. The nurse, upon seeing Steve's right hand was ballooned up to twice the size of his left, immediately recognized the circulation problem and rushed straight over to switch off the IV pump. The nurse then immediately, to address the apparent circulation emergency, leaves to retrieve a compression sleeve. The excruciating pain Steve had been experiencing was due to a developing condition known as compartment syndrome. You can see in this enlarged frame that Steve's hands are purple, his knuckles, in contrast, are white. This frame is well after the IV pump was turned off, and the swelling has reduced as a result. The blood vessels in his hand are easily seen plump with pressure here, and in his finger, here. This photo from the National Library of Medicine shows an advanced stage of compartment syndrome, caused by tape used to hold in an IV being too tight on an unconscious woman. The pain of this happening has Steve in a state of panic, and since nobody is addressing his suffering, he is increasingly convinced that the torture is intentional. Steve wasn't taken to the hospital for emergency treatment. He was there to have his life force stolen out of his body without a warrant on a quest to search for imaginary drugs. You can see here the damage caused by having tonic-clonic seizures while being made to sit on the handcuffs. Also note that the cuff is initially loose and can travel up the arm. Later, after being left alone without hospital staff in the room, the cuff is stuck beyond the bone of the arm. Eight days later, the damage and bruising from the handcuffs was still visible.
I'm gonna start fucking ripping these things off. Stop this! Stop this! Stop this! Stop this ride! I'm gonna fucking take you down too.
What's going on?
Keys! Keys!
See the handcuffs stay on.
Find someone that's gonna give me keys.
Does the IV hurt?
No, the handcuffs do, dude.
Okay, I'm gonna start this again.
Look. No! No!
Hey,
Are you?
don't do that.
Get this fucking off of me! Ah!
Keep it on.
Get these fuckers away from me! They're killing me! God damn it!
I'll take that from you.
Ah! Please put me back in the river! I just won the fucking lottery! And then he just started to get this fucking off of me!
Let's keep this in, okay?
Keep it on, Steve.
Ah!
Here, I'm gonna go grab something.
Yeah, all
Make sure
right,
he
got
doesn't rip that out.
Why can't somebody... Can you tell the guy with the gray hair I wanted to finish the story?
I just told him that you wanted to speak with him about getting that ID out, Steve, so. Alright?
How you doing? You get paid enough?
No.
No, I bet you don't. You protecting or serving me right now?
Right now, I'm protecting you.
From what?
Optimus. Right now, I'm protecting you.
From what?
Optimus.
Steve is very nearsighted. To him, everything is blurry, and since he has been experiencing back-to-back seizures, a drastic emergency medical condition known as status epilepticus, he has lost track of time and having complete lapses of memory. The lights are on, but nobody is home. He is unconscious, essentially sleepwalking through a nightmare.
Goes the weasel. Plus one yourself, just split your own fucking head. I hope I get through this ride to see the back end of it. So the scuffs are still here, and this thing's still out.
Again, because of Steve's ongoing seizure activity, he cannot remember from one moment to the next. Vernon County Sheriff Deputy Mark Bellacero is going hands-on in the emergency room, and again, because of Steve's aphasia, he cannot articulate that the handcuffs are cutting off the circulation in his hand and causing unbearable pain. Since nobody is interested in easing his suffering, Steve is desperately trying to correct the issue himself to stop the pain.
On here too. Is it running again?
No, it's not running. Stop. See? Pump stop. He's going to check with the doctor and have it pulled out, okay?
Oh, my hands are fucking stinging like needles.
Steve just explained his pain, which should be an indication of the circulation problem that Bellacero deliberately created by ratcheting the handcuff down to tight.
I'm gonna kick you in the fucking head.
I'm just gonna give you a sleeve.
Like a wizard sleeve?
Yeah, wizard sleeve if that's what you want.
On my dick?
No, just over your arm.
Oh, you don't know what the wizard sleeve is.
Oh, okay.
No, don't fuck with my hands, they're burning. I want these cuts off. No.
Steve wants the cuts off. He is in such bad shape that he simply can't speak with the complex focal seizures happening throughout his brain. The nurse was out of the room, so he had no idea that the handcuff was tightened. By the way, a wizard sleeve is a euphemism for a man's foreskin. The nurse is inadvertently gaslighting Steve by offering to reattach his foreskin if that's what he wants. But again, Steve tries to describe the pain. His hands are burning.
I'm gonna just, it's gonna go.
No, I don't care. I just want the cuffs off. My hands just need to sweat it out. It'd be...
Hospital staff could have corrected the problem by taking the handcuff off the wrist of the arm with the IV in it and attaching it to the rail of the bed. Why is there an IV in? Why is Steve wearing jail clothes? Why are there officers interfering with Steve's medical treatment? Is an intravenous 5% saline solution a magical antidote for mania? Is it a cure for disorganized behavior? No, of course not. Steve was taken to Vernon Memorial Hospital 2 days before, and Vernon County Sheriff Deputy William Zirk directed Dr. Ryan Holzhauer to deny Steve emergency medical treatment, as though sending a person to jail means that a hospital doesn't need to save a person's life. This is June 17th, and Vernon Memorial Hospital and Vernon County Sheriff's deputies are freaking out because their mistake has become overwhelmingly obvious. So, investigator Bierkos is out in the hallway conspiring with the doctor about how to cover up the gross incompetence. Zirk has so little fear of accountability that he is filming himself violating Steve's hyper rights by making videos on his personal phone that are mocking Steve's suffering and then instant messaging them to his cronies. This is June 15th. And Steve is trying to describe the symptoms of exertional heat stroke.
Any other recent illnesses, fevers, chills, vomiting, or you have any chest pain, abdominal pain, anything else going on?
No.
Okay.
Well, just being ground down to, just gaining fevers.
Why not?
Why not? Steve's not a doctor, but if he was, he would explain that the loss of feeling in his body is a sign of extreme neurological dysfunction. He is enduring so much searing pain. His only respite is when his brainstem overloads, and he goes numb. It's not okay.
My stomach's knots. I'm stiff and sore. Just ugh.
Okay.
Can I ask him for a glass of water?
Yeah, we can get to that.
Please.
Just a minute. Just a minute.
What's the hitch on that?
Well, they usually want me to see you first to make sure that we don't need to do
I
tests.
can use the same water.
We'll get you a cup. Just give us a couple minutes.
What was I going to say? You're getting distracted.
No, it's okay. They usually want you to see me before they bring you water in case you're going to need to see a surgeon or go to the OR or something. They don't want your stomach full of liquid. So some people can't have water depending on
I'm
their
just
problems,
trying to do a function check here myself, and these guys won't let me.
It's okay. So, next steps. I don't know that it sounds like you're having a whole lot of medical complaints. I'm a little worried that your thoughts are a little disorganized today.
Actually, they're better. That's what I mean. Like,
Good. Sure.
I got
your
enough.
plan?
What's up?
Do you guys have any plan right now for him?
He'll be,
Chapter.
it's a medical clearance for the jail.
Okay, so he needs full labs, or no, for jail
Oh,
labs.
please,
No.
no, don't make it worse. Can I stay here?
Because I don't have a whole lot of medical indication.
No, this is just purely
I'm
that
figuring out.
you're safe with
So
him
if we
going.
take a good listen to his
Zirk doesn't care at all about Steve's health, safety, suffering, ongoing organ damage, or life at all. He's concerned about Dr. Holzhauer's safety. You can't be much more obviously criminally oriented than that.
No, this is just purely
I'm
that
figuring out
you're safe with
So
him
if we
going.
take a good listen to his heart and lungs and he doesn't have any obvious
Totally.
injuries or medical complaints, we're good to go.
Yep, I'm very, very good to go with that. And I got a form you can sign right on my computer and we'll be good to go.
It's even on my desk.
Are you
Yep.
are you guys compounding my problems for jail?
We're not trying to, my friend. My job here is to make sure. 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 My job here is to make sure that we don't need to do any or determine what medical testing we need to have done today to make sure that you don't have an acute medical issue like something that needs a surgery or something that needs to be
Yeah,
admitted to
I
the
appreciate
hospital,
that's
or
the
something
other
that
thing.
needs
Worry about
antibiotics or things like that. So as long as we don't think that there's an acute medical issue that needs, you know, IV antibiotics or a surgeon to come and see you, then we clear you medically, and then I don't have a say in what happens from the legal standpoint. That isn't really my wheelhouse. So I want to just make sure I can do my part so he can keep doing his job, and we're both going to try to just do our job.
You heard Dr. Holzhauer's priority. According to him, he doesn't care about Steve's life or well-being either, rather than uphold his Hippocratic oath to do no harm. Instead, despite his function in the emergency room, as a doctor, he just wants to help Zirk deny Steve emergency medical treatment. Steve never gets so much as the glass of water he's asked 3 different people for, but he got a bill for this neglect. In fact, he received 2 bills from Vernon Memorial Hospital.
I want to just make sure I can do my part so he can keep doing his job, and we're both going to try to just do our jobs right.
Oh, what's under here?
I think you're laying on these cords on them.
What are they doing? Oh no, I'm laying on the goddamn belt that I came in on.
No, I'm not going to have it like that.
Because you haven't took the fucking keys off, monkey fuck.
No, when you act like that, you're coming off, Steve.
And here you are, the whole fucking time. Could you stand aside? I'm looking at this guy in the fucking eye.
I just want
My busted eyes. Funny that my eyes are busted. That your fucking head's gonna get round rocked by fucking Optimus Monkey Jackson fucking. They're doing YMCA just in extrapolations. Making fun of each other, having a great time at it. No, I'm doing this so that you don't touch me anymore. See my posture? No, don't hurt my pee-pee, mommy.
I'm not going to touch that. Can I put a
Are
sleeve
you
over your
taking,
IV?
no, are you taking my cuffs off? No, are you taking my cuffs off? No, are you taking my cuffs off? No, are you taking my cuffs off?
No.
So, when you got like barbed wire and shit on someone's arm, and a fucking bear trap on their wrists, and they're laying on shit, punching them in the kidney, you start punching a fucking, look, I can't, I just don't want you touching me until someone takes his handcuffs off. God. Just be for a second. Let me meditate on the fucking nature of the world.
Can we give you fluids for the IV?
Look, you guys are going to just sit here and listen to me, enjoy my jokes, and never can eat.
Now, pay close attention to the doctor, because here is where you see that, not only has Steve's medical report from the first day been falsified, but you will see that his second day medical reporting is falsified too, in order to cover up the mistake of denying Steve medical treatment the first day. And why not? It's the police telling him to break the law, after all, so what is to fear? Holzhauer claims in his reporting that he warns Steve of the ongoing rhabdomyolysis and the resulting organ damage. He didn't, as you will hear. There is no mention of rhabdomyolysis, nor is there any mention of kidneys, liver, brain, or any other organ damage. It is impossible to diagnose rhabdomyolysis by just looking, and Steve's blood test results weren't checked until after Steve was already back at Vernon County Jail. Although there are many more falsifications that can be proven by the footage, for this video, there are only 2 very obvious problems to show. One is that the doctor claims in the reporting that Steve wanted the IV out. As you have heard, Steve has been asking for the handcuff to be taken off to fix the circulation problem, and to stop the pain. Steve even corrects the doctor, as you will hear. This claim that Steve wanted the IV out is to maintain plausible deniability for denying Steve's medical emergency and the appropriate treatment. The outward lie is that there was no problem. The other lie to address is the deliberate misdiagnosis from the previous day. Listen to the 911 call from June 15th.
And are you guys okay? Like, nothing ever happened to you guys? Like, you didn't get hurt or anything?
Fine.
Okay.
No.
Okay. You know, they can be kind of manic sometimes in that stuff.
Oh,
but...
he's that's the word.
Yeah.
He's real manic. Yeah. And delusional.
Yep.
The elderly caller is the one who diagnosed Steve with mania. Steve has never had any previous bipolar depression, and there is absolutely no mention of mania anywhere in Steve's medical history. The mania idea came from the caller, and it sounded good enough to tell Vernon Memorial Hospital to falsely diagnose it to justify jailing Steve under false pretenses.
He has to keep moving. I guess he can't sit still. He's in a highly manic phase. Okay, thank you.
After latching onto the word manic, the caller repeats it, and the sheriff's department repeats it to the hospital. And despite the exertional heat stroke, the ongoing heat wave, despite no prior medical history of anything to do with mania, and without any medical testing, that became the agreed upon diagnosis. The problem with that false narrative is, if Steve was truly having a manic episode, then he wouldn't be capable of medical decision-making, as the doctor falsely asserts. Moreover, if Steve was on drugs, as the first-day medical reporting falsely asserts, without any testing, history, or proof of at all whatever, then he wouldn't be capable of medical decision-making in that instance either. Nowhere in the footage, not once, not a single time, does any first responder make any effort to gauge whether or not Steve is conscious or comprehending anything that's going on. Claiming that Steve is oriented 3x is a flagrant lie to make it seem like Steve chose not to receive treatment. So, the lies from the first day won't work for the second day, so Steve gets a second deliberate misdiagnosis to cover it up. Is an intravenous saline solution a cure for restlessness and agitation? No. Is the IV a fix for hyperactive behavior? No. Does it properly treat a rapid heartbeat? No. These are all symptoms of exertional heat stroke, as is the rhabdomyolysis that the doctor only discovered once Steve was gone. This is just over the top stupid. Steve's chief complaint was most certainly not, "Help me, doctor, I have manic behavior." All that understood, watch as Dr. Holzhauer gaslights, harasses, and abuses Steve, even infantilizing him in his unconscious state of delirium.
Part of the good story.
Oh, it's the same story where Optimus Prime's popping your head. I told you.
Alright, Steve, so I heard you want us to get the ID out. That's fine, it's your body, we can't make you do anything.
Well, no, I want these handcuffs off.
Well, that's not up to me.
Well, then I don't need to hear any fucking thing you need to say because you're going to wait on this. He's running the thing without getting the handcuffs off. That was what I was screaming about in the first place.
Oh, no, you can get an ID with handcuffs on. That doesn't matter. Handcuffs have nothing to do
My
with
wrists are burning like fire. My skin's tingling because they're plump with jet.
That has nothing to do with
Hey, buddy, you're about to watch this guy's head fucking splat a bunch of times in a video.
Alright, so Steve, let me just tell you what, from a medical standpoint, what I recommend.
I don't care. Here, I'm going to take a nap before I have to go away. Blow me up, whatever you're going to do.
So, do you want to wait for the labs we sent to check on your heart? Steve, you gotta be a big boy and make your own decisions right now about your body. This is your health care.
I want to
So
get out.
Do you want to grow up?
I want out of this.
Do you want to grow up and make some decisions about your health care, or do you want to act like a child?
I want to act like a child.
Okay.
Because you're not going to fix the cuffs off either fucking one.
I don't have the key to the cuffs,
Yeah,
and I
these
don't
guys
leave them off to medically.
These guys are just staring at me
It's
like
up to
I'm
them,
a
and they
show.
probably have a good reason to have them on there, so stop
What is
asking
the
about the
reason?
cuffs. Listen, do you want to
What
talk
is
to
the
me
reason?
about medical care, or do you want to talk to them about cuffs? I'm here to do my job, don't waste my time. Do you want us to check on your heart?
Are you getting it?
Or do you want us to take your IV out and send you out the door?
I don't think so. I mean, I think I should just have fun instead, because he can't be doing some tests. I asked him for a glass of water. He got
Gave
this
you a
thing,
glass of water.
billing me for it.
We gave you a glass of water.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah.
But
Do you
then...
want some more water? You can have some more water.
No. You don't turn that thing on anymore until the cuffs off, please. If you're a healthcare professional that
I want
You can want an IV with handcuffs on. It has nothing to do with it. If you don't want the IV, we'll turn it off and take it out of the room. Don't waste the resources. Do you want the IV fluid or not? Your heart is running fast. We give people who have tachycardia IV fluid. If you don't want the IV fluid, it's your body. Say no and we'll unplug it.
First of all, liar, Holzhauer, or we, didn't give Steve an IV when his heart rate was even higher on the 15th. Second, liar. According to the National Library of Medicine, magical IV fluid is not any sort of proper treatment for tachycardia. What the IV is in for is the exertional heat stroke and dehydration that the hospital staff knows full well is the issue. While these stats are up, and you might be trying to scrutinize Steve's temperature to deny his exertional heat stroke, you'd be wrong. His core body temperature wasn't taken. No, the only temperature taken was the temperature of the sweat on Steve's forehead, with a rollerball thingy. The only proper way to take a core body temperature measurement is with a rectal probe. Do you believe that these people cared to bother messing with Steve's butt? And if you might try to think that, because Steve was sweating, he couldn't have heat stroke again, you would be wrong. Modern medical understandings of heat illness have changed. Perhaps pause on this graphic and maybe save the life of someone you love.
Do you want the IV fluid or not? Your heart is running fast. We give people who have tachycardia IV fluid. You don't want the IV fluid? It's your body. Say no and we'll unplug it. Do you want the IV fluid or not? Yes or no?
What are you telling me?
Okay, then run the damn IV fluid.
No, I don't.
Okay, then unplug it.
I want my
Take it
cuffs
out of the
off.
room. We're done. The cuffs have
We're
nothing
not
to do
getting
with
the
the
cuffs
IV
off.
fluid. We're not taking off your cuffs. Do you want the IV fluid or
Listen,
not?
sure, man. I'll just take a couple more 16, 14 scratch games. You're just gonna do it.
Okay, take your 16 scratch gains. Do you want the IV fluid?
You even got the technology. You almost are like half extrapolating.
Alright, just run the IV fluid.
Okay.
We're running your IV fluid. It has nothing to do with your freaking handcuffs. So stop trying to tie those two together. Do you want to wait for your labs to find out if your heart's been damaged or not?
I actually kind of want. Could you kind of
It's
check
yes
the
or no?
cadence? Can you
It's
check
yes
the
or no,
cadence?
Steve. Answer yes or no, so we can get on with our lives. Everybody here. Do you want to wait for your lab work, or do you want to leave now? Okay, then we're done. Turn off the fluid, take it out of the room, take out his IV. You've been discharged into police custody. You're safe to go to prison. You're medically cleared, and we're done here. Thanks for your patient, guys.
Thank you.
Steve, I don't recommend doing that because we don't know yet what your labs show. But again, your body, you can do whatever you want. So we're done here. Thanks for your time.
Okay, so.
Hopefully nothing's going on with your heart.
Good.
All right, see you next time.
See you next time? Steve can't remember this happening. Steve has been in custody for nearly 2 hours, and this is the first time he is being told that he's under arrest, and apparently, according to the doctor, going to prison. And for what?
I'm going to prison when you get that news.
Well, you're going to jail. I wouldn't call it prison.
Why?
Because you're under arrest.
For what?
Those charges are not my charges. Those are somebody
I was
else's
just
charges.
dead in the creek.
You weren't dead. You were sitting there at the creek.
Sitting there, what were the charges?
I don't know. I think it's some battery to an officer. I'm not sure. I don't know what all your charges are.
Oh, wow. So that's like the first time it happened, and I actually caught it and corrected the timeline code in my own timeline? Oh, wow. Whoa. Oh. This is where it gets real, sailor.
And just as Vernon Memorial Hospital had no regard for Steve's life or suffering, he would also be entirely disregarded by the Vernon County jail nurse, even mocked outright for his pain. And just as Bellacero tried to deny that Steve had drowned, so too did the jail nurse. Was she there? How could she possibly know? And not only deny that Steve had lungs completely full of water, but what business is it of hers to make a correction in the margin? Water in Steve's lungs was no good, and incredibly painful, but the jail nurse needed to make a comment to deny it. Steve is very, very lucky to be alive.